John Saunders. How are you, my friend?
Christopher Scott Herman. I'm good. How about
Jonathan
yourself?
D. Saunders. What's the D for again?
The D is for David.
David. Jonathan David Saunders. That's a good name.
Thank you.
It's a very crisp name.
Yes.
I like it.
It's actually John David Saunders.
Oh, it's not
John.
Jonathan?
Yeah. It's
There's no Jonathan.
No Jonathan. No
See,
Jonathan.
I screwed up the whole show right at the beginning. Ah, shit.
Nah, it's all good.
John David Saunders, welcome. You're on deck.
Oh man, I'm excited. Thank you for having me, Chris.
You're welcome. I'm excited to have you, and I'm looking
it.
forward to this conversation. Let's do it. That's right. Where do we begin? I think a funny place to begin would be to say that for those that don't know, John worked here at the agency. You worked here for a number of years.
Yes.
You came in the door in our old location.
Oh yeah.
At our original location over on Prospect, that one-story crazy brick building, crazy office. Like the last time they had redecorated, the previous owners, the last time they redecorated, it was like during Miami Vice time.
Yeah, it was.
Remember
wild.
the colors? It was like teal and magenta and gray carpet, and it had those clear like glass blocks for walls.
It was eclectic. Eclectic. That's what we call it now.
So funny. But I remember you came. And you were wearing, if I remember correctly, you were wearing a really good-looking, like light gray suit.
Wow,
Do you remember?
I was.
Yeah, you were.
I got that suit at JCPenney.
You looked like $1 million, and you made a great impression.
Wow.
Above and beyond just the fact that you're a great guy and you were ready to work hard, and you came in and you worked at the agency for what?
4 years.
4 years. So I think what's funny, you've now gone on to form your own business. Couple of businesses that we'll talk about in a little second. But had you listened to me, you'd have been far less successful. Because I still remember the day you came in, you're like, Chris, man, I think it's time for me to go. I got another opportunity. And I was like, what?
Oh yeah.
Are you crazy? No, you can't go. This is gonna be a terrible thing. I didn't want you to leave, and I made a big fuss about it. And you held your ground because you knew what you wanted to do for yourself. And you went out and you blazed your course and you blazed your path. And here you are, as we were talking just before, 6 years later, probably like 6 years later, maybe even more.
Yeah, probably like 7.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, you left I think it was 7 years ago that you left, and you went to work for somebody else for a period of time.
Yes.
And then you started your own business. So I the first thing I want to say is I think that's a funny story, but it's more significant because I'm really proud of what you've accomplished for yourself over the last period of time. I mean, you've done a tremendous job. 5-4 Digital. And I know you've got 2 other things that you're working on as well too. So I'll stop talking right now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do, what your company and companies are all about?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I got to thank you for giving me a chance in the advertising agency world, because prior to that, I had done 2 internships. Like, no one would hire me. I didn't have enough experience. So a lot of these companies were like, well, you don't have the experience. But, I worked 2 internships, and I came in here and I spoke to you and I spoke to Ellen, which was my my bestie. Yes. And both of you just gave me a great opportunity to be able to work here and really own my skills. Because if I didn't have this job and I didn't have that opportunity, I don't know where I'd be today, And being here those 4 years and being able to own my skills and travel with you and learn sales and learn the advertising side, it was huge and pivotal in my growth. So, I got to thank you as well, Chris, for being there and believing in me when, all these other agencies were like, nah, you don't have experience. So appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And I'm really glad that it worked out that way. And yeah, I mean, really hats off to Ellen as well too, because now that I remember, she was going to say, Chris, this is a really sharp young man. I like him.
Yeah, she's great.
And when Ellen would, and that was those kind of compliments from Ellen, and again, for those listening who don't know, Ellen was our previous, controller and CFO, and just a really great lady. And,
she was awesome.
So awesome. So funny.
Yeah.
Right?
There's the one quick story. I remember she used to put this little piece of tape on her camera on her laptop because she's like, oh, people are watching, John, you never know. I was like, Ellen, come on, nobody's watching you. And then like 3 months later, there's an article, hackers are getting into people's computers and they're watching them while they're sleeping. And I was like, oh
yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine
Crazy.
what videos are on file of all of us using our computers and phones and tablets at whatever godforsaken hours of the day.
Right.
Well, you came in and you worked for us and you did a fantastic job. And that was really, going back, I guess that would be about 11 years ago when we were really just kind of getting into digital.
Yeah.
And, you brought a lot of knowledge and experience and hard work to social media for us. So let's dovetail that back to your company, because you're a digital marketing guy and you've got a digital marketing business, primarily website and branding. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now? Because I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, our company 54digital.com, we work primarily with startups, mostly, Series A or maybe post, and we do web design, branding, and web development for them. Usually it takes about 8 to 12 weeks for a full project. Mm-hmm. And so what I've done over the last like 4 or 5 years is really focused on creating operating procedures in the business that make our business practices proprietary. So essentially, when we bring on a client, we have an onboarding process. We have low fidelity designs, high fidelity designs, and we work through this regimented process to get them to where they need to be, where they can go live and start to capture leads, increase revenue and do all those fun, exciting things. And so for me, being a creative, but also being kind of a digital marketing guy, it kind of marries both of those because I'm able to use my creative side to work with brands, to develop their brand identity, to help them choose a color palette. And all of that is rooted in competitive analysis and data, right? Looking at their Google Analytics and top performing pages and using all that content and those resources to develop these projects for clients.
Are you having fun with it?
I am. It's exciting. It really is. I get to wake up every day and help companies develop and create and create products, digital products that actually work and improve others' lives. So it's exciting. It's great work.
You're an entrepreneur in the true sense of the word because you started this from scratch, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is bootstrapping and you did it on your own and you've built your company up to, you were just telling me, how many employees do you have right now?
Right now we have about 13 employees. We have about half of those are full-time and the rest are mostly like independent contractors, but they're working from the systems that we built in the agency. So it's crazy.
It's really fantastic. And I've watched you over the years and I watch how you promote yourself and I watch how you're so consistent, and that's a hard thing, right? To be consistent with your promotional content when you're running a business. And
that's true.
I really have a lot of respect for what you do because you have, you've got a look, you've got a feel, you've got a consistency to what it is. So there's a creativity to how you present yourself. But it would be no surprise that you're such a procedural guy because your social media and video content is very procedural as well too. And what I mean by that is this: it's not like you're just getting up every day and you're like, hey, today it's this or whatever. Like, no, I mean, you're like, okay, here's a tip on how to check your website speed, or or if you're having a problem with page loads, here's something you can do, or here's a better way to organize your day. And I'm like, damn, man, this guy is like organized with the content, right? So I'm curious, do you apply this procedural and organizational process that you have existing in your company? Do you apply that to your own promotional efforts?
Absolutely. So one thing that I do is I create like a loose kind of social media calendar in like a Google Sheet. And then I create a training for my team where basically our lead designer, his name is AB, he'll go in, he'll look at that document, he'll say, okay, John did a Twitter thread on, page load times. He'll take that Twitter thread and he'll convert it to an Instagram carousel or a piece of video content. And then our social media manager will go and post that content on my behalf on our page. And so it's siloed in a way where I just kind of create the general idea and content, and then it's pushed through this operating procedure where each step is done by a team member, and it's isolated so one team member only has to work on one specific part of that process.
That's so cool, man. That's really, man, that's so great because as we, over the years here at the agency, we've gone starts and stops and bursts with the content, and it's a difficult thing when you're running a business,
of course,
to stay on top of, but it's
it really is.
It's crucial, right? It's just absolutely crucial for any person in business at this point in time to take their social media and content creation process,
so true,
with the utmost of focus. And I'm going to learn a lot from you during this conversation.
Hey, let's do it.
Cool. Yeah,
I'm ready.
One of the things that I find, interesting about social media is like I just said, it's something that you have to do, right?
It is.
Do you always enjoy it?
No. You talked about consistency, and it's like, I'll have a piece of video content in my head and I'm like, I'm going to get this out. People are going to love it. It's going to get great engagement. Flops, right? And I'm like, well, damn, I thought this would be great. I looked at the analytics, I looked at the data, and unfortunately didn't do well, right? And sometimes you get discouraged because you feel like that piece of content didn't do well. But for me, I truly believe that quality content and consistency compounds over time, because what happens is if I do one piece of content and it gets 10 likes, right? But one person saw that piece of content and they followed me because of it. Now they're going to my website. Now they're looking at our content. Now they're looking at our team, looking at our work. 6 months from now, that person can tell someone else, hey, check out John, follow John. And the more brand advocates that you can create through your content, I mean, it's a gold mine. Now you have 100, 150 people that are advocates of your brand out there telling other people what you do. So it almost develops a lead pipeline automatically by you just creating this content on a consistent basis. Even if you think like the content's not reaching people, it definitely is.
Is that where the bulk of your business has come from, through your social media presence?
Yeah. So we do, we probably get maybe 30 to 40 qualified leads per month. They come in through the website. I'd say 80% of those are referrals. And most of it comes from, one, having a good presence on Google's organic reviews. As you know, having those reviews, you're able to be seen organically. You don't even have to pay for that placing. And any clients that we work with, we always work with them to get those reviews. And secondly, a lot of our leads come from, social media. What I like to do once a day, I'll go into like Facebook groups and I'll just leave value-based content to folks that are in that space. So one thing we do is we work with Webflow, which is a web design platform. I'm in a Webflow group. So once a day I'll go in there and I'll leave a piece of value-based content. And what'll happen is people will engage with it, but then they'll look at my profile, they'll look at the links, and then they'll start to kind of go down that rabbit hole.
It's literally that in and of itself is the truest form of social networking. Like you're actually going in and spending time with groups of people, sharing something with them, and developing business relationships as a result of that.
Yeah. And I probably spend, 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes a day on social media. That's it. And, I get that done. And one thing that's worked really well, and this is probably, oh man, you guys could probably apply this too, but it's called, so there's a book called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. It's a really short read, but he talks about, just being transparent in everything that you're doing, which I feel like you're doing with this podcast. It's very like warm and welcoming. I feel like I'm at home, just, we're just chopping it up. And what I do is every day I'll go on social media and I'll show folks what I'm working on that day. Like, hey, today I'm doing a meeting with the team. I'll do like a screen share and I'll say, hey, this is the wireframes that we've got done. Here's what the process looks like. And those get insane amounts of engagement because people love to see the inside.
They want to see the real thing.
Exactly. And it's raw, it's authentic, it's not really like super high res and but it works.
It's interesting, we talk about, we've got a whole company here that's geared towards creating content and a lot of
amazing.
It. Thank you. And a lot of it is still, 30-second commercials for dealerships. And when I say 30-second commercial, I mean, it's really, it's not just TV stuff. I mean, it's so much social and so much YouTube and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, there's still 30-second car dealership commercials, a lot of it. And so we've got a real, approach built up here to help us accomplish that. At the same time, we've got all this stuff to help us do this type of content. And I think that one of the things that helped me in the last year is I used to always try to in my mind want to make everything perfect, right? Like you said, you'd have this great idea for a post, right? You thought about it, and you spent so much time and you put it together. And the one thing that I said this year, I was like, with this podcast, I was like, all right, we're just going to start doing it. Like, I know what I want to do. I know we have the gear. Let's put it together. Let's get going. We're going to fuck it up, right? Like, that's okay. We'll make the mistakes. We're going to put the mistakes out there. If it's not perfect right out of the gate, that's okay.
Yeah.
Let's improve it on the fly, because it's not going to be about any one episode of this show, right? Or one single piece of content. it's that constant, just consistent
So true.
messaging. And some of it's going to be great and some of it's going to stink. And you're not going to know what's going to be great and what's going to stink, right?
That's so true.
You don't know what people respond to.
It's crazy. And you might have one piece of content that like just, it's that one piece of content that makes everything blow up, you know, and then that's it. You're on your road. Like there's a YouTuber, MKBHD. He's like this young guy in tech. He started like when he was 14 making videos. Now he's interviewing Elon Musk. He's interviewing the CEO of Google. All Apple, Microsoft, all these companies send him products. He's got like 14 million subscribers. And he started literally just making videos in his living room, 14 years old. Hey, this is the newest phone. These are the things that I like about it. It's crazy.
It's insane, right? I mean, it is insane how over a few years with the right type of dedication and consistency with it, you can build up something that is really meaningful and does get you that exposure.
Absolutely.
It's so cool, man.
It's wild, man. It's great times. You know what I mean? It's something where, you know, when we were kids, parents would be like, oh, go outside. You know, why are you playing the video games? Now you have kids that are 16 making millions playing video games. It's like now you can truly take your passion and monetize it. You know, it's crazy.
In almost any area. I mean, really, is there any area right now that people could be passionate about, unless it's just like negative? Let's stay in the positive, right? But like any positive outlet for anybody, there's a way for a young person, middle-aged person, old person to be able to absolutely make
100%
a life out of it.
Have you seen those two older British guys that are like rappers? Have you seen those guys?
No.
They're like 60 plus. And they're like killing it. Like they've got tons of followers. I'll show you after, but it just shows you, you know, it's insane. These times, you know, you can definitely leverage the internet to make money and just do something that you're excited and passionate about.
That's so great. One of the themes, you know, that is consistent. One of the themes that's consistent through the conversations that we've had thus far. We're recording episode 25 right now, is creativity. Right. And so my question to you is, you know, go back to young John. He grew up in New York.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What introduced you to creativity? What brought you into this world?
Man, it probably have to be, it probably started in elementary. My mom, before we could go outside and play, she'd make us like read and she'd make us write, and so we had to do these
Your
activities.
mom was a teacher, right?
Yeah, she was
That's
a teacher.
right.
She retired like a year ago.
Okay.
And so we would have to write and read, and so I just developed a passion for reading. I used to write my own like short stories and comic books and draw. So I was like a pretty creative kid growing up, and that's probably where a lot of it stemmed from, where I'm able to use my creativity in this space to develop and create, you know, really cool online brands.
Mm-hmm. But okay, a little bit more. Let's go a little bit deeper into that. So that's what kind of brought you into it. But as you were growing up, did you continue with it? You know, through school, were you continually working on your craft of writing and drawing and what have you?
No, you know, around like, I'd have to say maybe 14, I got my first job at Publix. I worked at Publix for 5 years, where shopping is a pleasure, of course, which was a great job because I was able to learn a lot. I was able to get more social. I'm kind of introverted, so I have to like kind of push myself out there to communicate, and, you know, it helped me get out there more. And so I didn't really write a lot then. I didn't really draw much anymore either. But after I left there, I ended up working at the Bank Atlantic for about 3 or 4 years. And, you know, with that, there wasn't much creativity, but I did learn a lot about financial literacy. And so I wanted to break back into that creative mode. And so originally I wanted to be a copywriter. I had read David Ogilvy's Ogilvy on Advertising, and I was just like hooked. You know, he had these really cool classic Marlboro and Volkswagen ads. Like he's a legend. He's one of the original madmen. So I wanted to be a copywriter, and it was one of those things where I kind of created my own ads and actually went to Bank Atlantic's advertising department. I was like, hey guys, you know, I have some ideas, some concepts. And I had like my book and my portfolio that I made myself and showed them. They're like, yeah, that's cute. And then I kind of just went back to the store level. And, you know, I felt like being there was hindering that creative process. And that's when I did the 2 internships. And then I applied to like 30 agencies when no one hired me. And you guys gave me the opportunity. You were like, listen, we believe in this kid. Let's see what happens.
A lot of persistence there on your part, right?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Because not everybody has that, right? You know, that it's one thing. A lot of people in the creative field have this desire to be in the creative field. Not everybody has the ability to really like kind of push through no after no after no after no.
That's true. I don't know. You know, I truly believe that some of that is like, I don't know if it's hereditary, but I think it's like in you, you know, like I think you have it, you know, I think I have it, where it's just like this little like nagging feeling. Maybe it's like a psychological thing. I don't know. Maybe we're a little crazy, because I do believe that entrepreneurs and successful people do have a little bit of, they feel like, the best term I guess to say would not naive, but we feel like we can achieve things when others would be like, nah, you can't do that. You know what I mean? So it's almost like a good portion of naivete without being too much. You know what I mean? And for me, I think it really started with, you know, just kind of seeing my mom and dad struggle for a lot of their lives. And you know, I wanted to build something and do something that would help, you know, build and develop my skills so that I could, you know, pass on to the next generation some success and some things like that. And don't get me wrong, you know, my parents were great people.
Sure.
But, you know, ultimately they had a lot of rough times, and, you know, we saw that.
So you're working real hard to make sure that you're doing better for your family, which is what we all do. And I know you are. I know you've got a beautiful family of your own. That's a big part of your life.
Definitely.
It's a beautiful thing to see.
It is. It is.
Question: You used the term financial literacy. That rang in my ear.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Man, financial literacy is just understanding the fundamentals of money and how to create leverage and build up generational wealth, right? That's pretty much what it is to me in a nutshell. And that really comes down to having the knowledge, you know, applying that knowledge and creating revenue streams, being an entrepreneur, businesses, IP, right? Also real estate, you know, those things all culminate into financial literacy.
Mm-hmm. And if I understand correctly, you've been able to dip your toe and start participating in a lot of that, right?
Yeah. It's been I actually wrote a book on, it's so funny. I wrote a book on a step-by-step guide to building wealth from $1, where I just talk about incrementally things you can do at each step in your life to kind of build wealth.
And the book did well, right?
It did well. We've done about maybe 6,000 copies.
Okay.
It did pretty good. Okay. It did pretty good.
I
yeah.
remember seeing you.
You remember seeing that?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
What's it called?
It's called A Step-by-Step Guide to Building Wealth from $1. And it just talks about, you know, saving your money compounds, 401ks, IRAs, just kind of like informative stuff on how people can make decisions on their money.
Isn't it? It's a shame when I think about the education system in our country, how little time, if any, is dedicated to teaching young kids important life stuff, right? When you're growing up, there's no classes that teach you anything about money. There's no classes that really teach you anything about really how to develop yourself to go get a job. There's nothing that teaches you how to be a good husband or a good parent, right? Like, some of the most fundamentally crucial things that you figure out later in life, and many people struggle to figure out ever, are not taught to you. And not to suggest that any of the core curriculum and education is not important, but it just blows my mind how many people get into adulthood or even further into adulthood with really no clue what to do in some of these core areas, and finance and money being so huge.
It's crazy. I mean, I feel like the only way that I learned was, you know, working at the bank, and I saw like how folks were saving their money and how I could have a retirement account at the bank, and they'll match you up to 5%, and then you can use that money to buy your first home. Like, I was learning all that on the job, and as I did, I was like, yo, I need to learn more about this so I can apply this in my life. But you're right. There's like they could literally teach you, okay, this is how credit works. This is what APR means. This is how you can buy your first home. Like, nothing. You know, people get out of school and they're kind of like, you go to college, they give you a credit card, you rack up that credit card, and now you're paying insane interest. Or
even worse now, you go to college and you come out and you got $100,000-$200,000 of debt.
It's crazy.
For something. Now, I can tell you, when you came and applied at our agency, I don't know that I looked at where you went to school or anything like.
Right.
And that's the really that's the scary thing that a lot of young people don't realize, is that when that front door slams, boy, it is real, huh? When you know they go out into the job market and yeah, like having that education, okay, that's important, but I can tell you at this point in time, as an employer, and I would imagine you could say the same, does this person have good, just general smarts and capability, right? Can they handle themselves? Can they communicate? Do they present well, right? Do they have passion and drive, and do you get the sense that they're going to be willing to work hard to do the job.
Yeah, that's another thing I learned working
You can't
here.
figure out any of that out just looking at like, okay, this person went to so-and-so university for 4 years. Big whoop-de-doo.
So true.
I don't want to underplay education.
No, of
it's
course.
important. But it's hard to feel like it's not a racket right now that's putting millions of people in a position that they will never get out of.
Yeah, it's crazy. And just like you said, even me, when I'm hiring team members for our team, like I go back to Herman Advertising where I'm like, okay, would this person be a good fit? Do they have like the fundamental skills? Because I feel like talent, they can always grow, they can always learn. They can take courses. These are things that are learned, but you can't teach hustle. You can't teach, drive. You can't teach someone that's going to be innovative and help you kind of push the envelope. So I take a lot of those things that I learned here and I apply those when I'm hiring. So like you said, I feel like if someone worked here for 3 years, that'd be a masterclass, as opposed to going to college where, and I hate to say this, but a lot of the professors, they don't have they don't have the experience actually doing the job.
I had a conversation with somebody a couple months ago, and this person was contemplating whether or not to go on to get a master's degree in advertising and marketing. And that this individual was indicating that their professors were saying, oh, this is something that you really need. And I said, I wouldn't waste a penny on that. I said, that 2 years that's going to cost however money, get a job at an agency somewhere, make no money, and work your ass off.
And that's it.
You'll be a million miles ahead, because those professors, many of them, they've never actually been out in the world doing the work, right? That's not to say that they don't have information,
exactly,
don't have value,
exactly.
But there's nothing compares to real world experience, right?
It's 100%. And yeah, it's just like you say, not to downplay education or anything like that. Of course, it's it's crucial. But it's like you said, what I want to learn from a CEO of a successful advertising company or a professor that's been in the educational space for 10 plus years, that's not really connected or has a pulse to what's going on right now. So yeah.
It's crazy. And safe to say now that you've been in business for 6 years, you've had some failures.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, right? Yeah. Oh, it flops. Definitely. It's ups and downs. You know what I mean? And I think as an entrepreneur, it just teaches you a bit of grit. Like now, when things go wrong, of course, I'm proactive. I'm getting the problem and solved, but it's not like before where I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like I'm having like a heart attack. Now it's like almost like controlled chaos, where you understand things are going to go wrong and you kind of just plan for it, and that's the best you could do.
That has been, my experience as well too, having been through a number of different, times in business where you're just facing, what seem to be insurmountable odds. Number one, they're never insurmountable. And if there's one thing that I've learned, it's, this agency is 15 years old now.
Wow. That's
huge. It's crazy, right? And number one, there's always a way. There is always a way. And that's something that I don't know where it came from in my mind. I'm not saying I thought of it, but that's just how I approach stuff. Like whenever shit seems fucked up or something's wrong, or you're like, oh, there's a problem, how are we going to fix? No, there's always a way. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, there's always a way. Number two, you win or you learn.
Wow. Yep.
Right?
Facts. No, only losses are not losses. They're learning experiences.
Learning experiences.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're painful.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yes.
Can be excruciatingly painful. Sleepless nights, stress, where been through it all. But those are the things that forge you as a business person, as a human being. And so when those new difficult times come, each time it's a little bit less like, it's not that you're not stressed about it.
Of course.
You're concerned, but you get to a point where you're like, I know I got this.
Yep.
Right.
Wow. Love that.
That's that. And that takes time. And I'm, that's still something that's developing for me, but that's a good feeling. And you can only get there if you've been through enough, mistakes and done the wrong thing, or just sometimes shit happens that's out of your control. And you're just like, okay, not much I can do there. Right.
Yeah. I mean, pandemic, no one knew this was coming. We're like, oh yeah, it's going to be fine. And then boom, no, it's here.
Here we are. Let's see, what's today? June 16th or something like that?
June 16th, yep.
So I remember, our last day in the office full time over a year ago was like March 14th or 15th when we sent everybody home. everybody worked from home for like 6-7 months, and then we've been bringing people back. Right now we're giving people summer hours so they can, you know, have the flexibility to work from home. And
got it. Nice.
Well, we had people coming back, and they're still coming in because we love being here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, nobody saw that coming, and I realize it's like old hat now to even talk about it. But I mean, there's a lot of people that didn't make it through this time. A lot of businesses that didn't make it through this time. True. And you know, we're fortunate that we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Congratulations,
absolutely.
man.
Thank you. Likewise.
Tell me, you know, you've got a couple other businesses. So 5-4 Digital, that's your main. That's your number one.
Exactly. That's powers everything.
Yes. Tell me about the Black Illustrations.
Yeah, sure. So I have another business called blackillustrations.com where we create illustrations featuring people of color, because as a web designer and developer, one thing we saw in the space was we didn't see a ton of diversity in illustrations. You know, we have Shutterstock subscriptions and subscriptions to the other websites as well, but when it came to illustrations and kind of like animations, we didn't see a ton of folks featuring people of color. So I was like, you know what, why don't we just build this platform ourselves? We already have the team, we have the infrastructure. And that's the great thing in having an agency, is you can leverage that agency to create other products, to do other things. I mean, that's one thing that you all do really well also, is being able to leverage your agency to be able to build other products that can, you know, function as a separate entity. So what we did was we built that out. This was maybe like last March. I was like, first thing we need to do is the first illustration pack that we get out has to be completely free. It has to be super high quality, and we need to be able to get it out. We got that out, and it was insane. We had 15,000 downloads in the first like month. A year ago, right now, we've had about 1.1 million viewers on the website. We've had about 90,000 downloads of illustrations.
Wow.
And about 80% of the illustrations have a cost attributed to them. And then we have a subscription service where we release 3 to 4 new packs every month. And folks that have the subscription, they get free access to all those packs. And I can't even tell you how many messages I've gotten from people from all walks of life. They're like, hey, this is great. You know, my students are seeing themselves in the content that we're creating now. I'm using this in my presentations and my website. So it's been awesome. You know, it's been a really great project to open up. And now it's its own standing business. So it works well.
That's got to feel really good. Like that's, you know, that's,
it really does.
Number one, that's a great idea. Number two, to be able to get it together, get it out, and then have that type of response.
It was awesome. And it was one of those things where I was like, I know this is something that's needed, and I'm going to get out there, and I think it'll do well. But, you know, I didn't know it would get to this level where it's like, you know, full functioning business. We have probably 3,000 plus illustrations currently on the platform.
And your design team is just every month creates new
we come up
versions.
with concepts,
right.
And we have an operating procedure where step by step, you know, here's the concepts, here's the design layout. We collaborate in Figma to leave comments and things like that. And Figma is like a collaboration tool we use. And then once they're approved, we create all the source files, we bundle it, and then we put it on the site and share it with our subscribers as well.
Nice job, man.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
great.
You. That's great. You know, it's just you found a niche where there was a void, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And popped in there.
And just yeah. We've done collaborations with the CDC, with Google, Yahoo, and we've seen our illustrations everywhere. It's pretty cool. University of what's it called? California? Is it USC? Is that
University
Southern California?
Yes.
USC.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's been really cool stuff.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
What you know, if you sit here, you know, you're still, in my opinion, still a young dude, right? You know, and you got a long way ahead of you at this point in time. You know, if you look at what you're doing, where do you hope to take all this? Oh,
great question. So I got my 10-year plan kind of mapped out in my head. One thing that I want to do is break into real estate investing also. But what I want to do specifically is open up like an incubator, or buy like a commercial building or commercial facility and turn that into an incubator for other entrepreneurs, so that they can come in, learn, develop their skills, and then be able to leave and go on their own as well. So that's one of the things that I really want to do. And then in regards to like the business side, pretty much what I'm doing now, like just continue to grow. You know, we're growing, we grow kind of slowly. You know, we're not trying to like just catapult into the stratosphere, but we're growing slowly. We're taking on a great amount of clients. Right now we're working on between like 15 and 20 web design projects at once. So it's been great. So it's just really more of this, and then being able to scale to a point where I have a commercial facility where I can leverage that as like an incubator to help incubate other entrepreneurs.
That's good thinking. I'm curious, on the web design front,
Yes.
what has changed over the last, 5 years with web design now that, certainly a website is crucial to anybody's business, but young and old business people, entrepreneurs, influencers, whatever you want to say, have different ways to have a place for people to come and interact with them, whether that's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, right? Not everybody needs a website, right? So as a result of that, what has changed in website design over the last 5 years?
Good question. So with web design, especially in the last 2 years, social media is essentially the meeting point. So a lot of people are starting on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and they're creating an entire movement and a following on those platforms. The issue comes in where they need a place to house all that content and be able to drive folks to that's not consistent or dependent on a social media platform. Because what could happen is, let's say your TikTok account gets locked out or you get hacked or boom, 1.1 million followers gone. But if you have a website where you're driving those people to, one, you can use the Facebook pixel to retarget them later. Two, they can see new and upcoming content that you have. And then three, you can have products or services or some type of lead gen on that site to convert those followers into emails that you can then reach out to later on. Black Illustrations, as an example, we have about 40,000 email subscribers. If I send an email right now, we can, boom, sell, 200 illustrations, as opposed to going on social media, which is great, but if I don't have that leverage on a social media platform, then
essentially you're getting them into your digital bricks and mortar, right?
Exactly.
All the social stuff is just to introduce, get people, and then bring them in, which we know that, but it's I think some people overlook that, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and in the last couple years though, it's been insane because, as you know, it was a pandemic. So a lot of people had these physical stores or physical locations, and that was what they were dependent on for most of their clients. Then it switched where it was we don't have a store. Now what do we do? We need a digital entity. We need a website. There are some pizza shops, for example. What they were doing is they created a website, and then they sold the pizza kits, and then you could buy the pizza kit and make the pizza from home. So it's just kind of being innovative, and a website will be something where you can always have that digital entity to be able to use to drive people to and to make money with.
Have websites in and of themselves changed from the perspective of for years, particularly the whole SEO game was built up. You got to have 8 gazillion pages on your website describing this, describing that, describing that. It's all SEO content's going to organically help you rank organically. And okay, is that still? Do you still see tons of that?
Yeah, SEO is still crucial to website build outs. You do want to have a good amount of pages, but you don't need 10,000 pages to be successful.
I guess that's what I'm getting at. What I'm seeing more is websites slimming down and becoming just more focused. Nobody's got time to go reading through 7 or 8, 10, 15 pages on your website.
Exactly. And you can have a lot of content, but it's not front facing to people where it's you have 73 things in the menu, you have 10 things. It's about creating an experience that's easy for users to get on, get what they need, and get out and get on with their lives. And so one thing we've done is we've moved, because WordPress was kind of the big or the main kind of website builder. We've migrated to a platform called Webflow that's allowed us to create free reign websites, customize however we want, and be able to create these content management systems within the website that make it easy for anyone on the team to make an update. And they don't have monthly plugins that you have to deal with and issues with the site going down. It's just it's insane. Yeah, I'm excited. You get
it's good, man. You've got passion for it. You've got passion for this.
No, absolutely. I love it. You know me. I'm a tech guy. It's one of those things. You're a tech guy too, but it's kind of guitars and stuff are cooler. The equipment.
No, well, I'm not. We're different types of tech guy, right?
Exactly.
When it comes to equipment and gear and cameras and live sound stuff, that's where I can start geeking out, and I could lose days, working on that kind of stuff and putting it together, because it's to me, it's when I was a kid, my favorite thing was Legos, right?
Oh man,
and I would just sit for hours quietly by myself and design something, then build it, and then make it more perfect and more perfect and more perfect.
I love it.
And I still there's still plenty of things in my life that, while it's not Legos, it's the same thing.
I love
assembling, clicking. And a lot of the stuff that I'm showing you around here, every piece of it, like click
I
it.
see.
So it's fun to have that, like, you know, that joy for what you do.
It really is. A lot of people don't get that. You know, a lot of people don't get that opportunity, or they haven't found what they're passionate about, and man, it's crazy.
But you know, and I see that, and sometimes it makes me crazy because, like, I don't want to be like, oh, it's so easy, but like, what did you like doing when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What did you like doing when you were a kid?
Take that.
Start there.
Exactly.
Right? Did you like, you know, friggin' running around outside and climbing trees? Okay.
You could be an outdoorsman or something.
You
Bear Grylls, you know?
I think that when you're a kid, you're drawn to things that are enjoyable and fun, that are play.
Yes.
That can be foundational elements for who and what you want to be when you grow up. And there's so much of this, like, you got to grow up and get a job, and then the misery starts, and then the bills, and right? And it's like, no, it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't. Especially now, the times have changed. You know, it's not like when we were growing up, where now whatever you like and whatever you do, you can turn into a job or a career. I mean, it's
from anywhere, no excuse,
right? From anywhere, exactly.
Right? You know,
exactly.
I mean, you could have, you know, you could create a clothing line, and you could live, you know, friggin' anywhere. You could live in Jamaica, and you could have your storage here and your shipments from there, and your warehouse here, and it's built there, and you can just do that all from a laptop.
100%.
It's so awesome.
I know it is.
Right?
It is. It's like there's no excuse. Zero.
Right. So that's why sometimes when I see people who are struggling, like, to find their identity, or they're not quite sure what they want to be or what they want to do, you know, just start with something that you enjoy, you know, because you know, and I know, the tough times are going to come, right? So you better really love what you're doing, right? And you've got to keep loving. You got to keep finding new things. It's like, I love this. I can build it into that. Oh, I can build it into this. It's got to be fun.
Exactly.
Right?
You got to innovate. Yeah, absolutely.
That's great, man. What's it like now for you? You know, you've got your businesses, you're a dad, you're a husband, you know, like, I'm curious to get a little peek inside of the world as outside of business, and what drives you, and where the joy exists for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, life is hectic, but I like hectic. You know, I don't know if I'm ADD. I might be. I never got diagnosed, but I love, like, the chaos a little bit, right? So my day usually starts, I wake up around 5:30, 5:45. I'll get a quick workout in. We had a guest room downstairs that we just, like, during the pandemic, we turned into a gym. So I just go in there, get my workout in, jump on my Peloton, you know, get my strength training on. And then after that, you know, my wife and I will wake up Logan, we'll get him ready for school, and then I'll go to work, you know. And my office is literally right down the hall from our master bedroom.
Right.
And I'll sit down, I'll get work done, I'll check in with the team. Our entire team is remote, so we're able to collaborate and talk and communicate that way. And then around 2:30, I'll go and I'll pick up Logan. Dee will get home a couple hours later. And then, you know, we'll have family time till about 9 or 10. And then some days, and I'll work till, like, you know, from 10 to like maybe 1. And then I'll get up and do the same thing again. And that's pretty much a day in the life.
There's not much sleep, man. One and you're cracking up at 5:30.
I know. I gotta get better with the sleep. I get probably on average maybe 5-6 hours a night, and I know it's not healthy. I know. I'm trying.
Oh, my old ass. I'm like, man, I want 8 or 9. Like, seriously.
Ooh, that's beautiful. That's my wife's. Like, she doesn't play. Like, if she's getting 8 or 9 hours, nope, that's it. That's what's happening. And yeah.
Well, you know, we all have different energies in different ways. The one thing that I've definitely found is sleep is crucial for me, because if I fall behind on sleep, I get run down. If I get run down, I don't pay attention to the amount of fluids and water that I'm drinking. I start to become a little bit more sluggish, easily swayed by eating things that are not the best for me, right? Like, if I'm well rested, right? Like, my body's in a more natural, good place, right? So you get more workouts.
Yes.
You get better hydration. You make better decisions about the food that you take, and all of that, man. You can't mess with that. This is not a lecture, right?
No, of course.
But what I'm finding is that without that stuff in balance, everything's out. Because
that's a good point.
The mind, I think the mind follows the body. Your physical being establishes what's happening here.
I agree, and it's crucial, you know, because if you don't have your health, if your health's not on point, you can't work, you can't function, you know. And that's why I work on eating right, and we do plant-based a lot of times during the week. Try to drink a lot of water, hydrate. But yeah, sleep is probably like my kryptonite. I need to make sure I'm getting that. I want to get at least 7 hours. Like 7 hours, I'll be happy with that.
7. Well, I'm gonna check up. I'm gonna check up on you.
Okay.
Hey, man,
okay. Do you use like any like apps, like sleep apps and stuff like that?
I do. Right. I had the Apple Watch.
Okay.
But then a couple years ago, when I started getting more into triathlon, I switched to the Garmin.
Got it.
I wear this
nice.
all the time.
So it's tracking all your vitals and stuff.
Got it. And so it gives you a sleep score.
Wow.
And it gives you your total body energy score, and there's a lot of things. And I'm not where I like to be right now. I'm way off my program. But that being said, I do pay attention to the sleep metrics. I don't study every one of them, but like I know right now over the last month or two, I've just been pushing it really hard. And my body battery, which Garmin measures, it could be 0 to 100. Right?
Okay. Body battery meaning like how good you're like. Okay, got
your
it.
Overall energy.
Oh, that's cool.
Like it monitors all of your activity throughout the day, and then it monitors your sleep, and it gives you a score. So typically when I was training well, eating well, sleeping well, all that stuff, I would wake up in the morning, and if I had a good night's sleep, my body battery would be in the 80s or 90s, like pretty recharged, right? Now you're going to wear it down throughout the day depending on what you do. Of course. But then when you sleep, it restores. Right now, at the end of every day, my body battery is at like 5.
Wow.
And my sleep is getting me back up to 60. So
so you got to get back into.
Yeah, I'm operating in a not ideal zone right now, and the truth is I feel it. Like it's no joke.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
It's 100% on. And so the sleep thing, without that sleep and without that restorative rest,
everything else is thrown off.
You know,
it's true. Mm-hmm. That's true.
And sometimes you just go through periods. Like this morning, I woke up at 3:30.
Just for no reason. Just woke
up. Nicholas woke up. He's had a little bit of like a cough, and he's been a little achy, and he's just he's struggling a little bit. So woke up and held him for a little bit, and then put him back down. And then I was awake. But for me, I have to, and you'll probably feel the same way. Like if I wake up and it's 3:30 and I'm laying in bed and I'm awake, I'm like, great,
I can go do something.
I'm like, here we go. And because that early morning time is some of the best. Some people are late night people. I can't do the late night. I'm the early morning.
You're not getting a ton of emails. You can kind of like you can exercise. You can meditate. You just have time to really be yourself. It's still kind of dark, so you have that nice.
I feel this morning I had 3 or 4 good ideas come to me, like in at 4 a.m, quiet, just sitting in the kitchen drinking coffee, working on the laptop, just organizing stuff. And I had like I sometimes send email. Did you just hear what I said? I sometimes send myself emails. Like if I just have a quick thought, I'll send myself an email from one account to the other, so it's in my inbox. And then
okay, that's smart.
So I did that this morning, but I had like 4 really good ideas this morning. Nice. And that stuff for me, comes early in the morning. So
there it is.
Here we go. Sleep.
For me, it's a shower, but I need like a waterproof whiteboard or something, because I have ideas and then I'll get out and I'll forget what it was.
Well, you keep your hustle going, you keep your business growing. Who knows, man?
Yeah.
You see, do you follow Grant Cardone at all?
I do, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
He just bought Tommy Hilfiger's mansion on.
Did he?
On was it Golden Beach? $24 million.
Sheesh! Wow.
Now, that guy. I look at that guy, and he was always successful, but he made his move during the last downturn, 2008, 2009. He was successful at that point in time, but that's when he said, "I'm going hardcore," and that was, so let's call that 13 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now look what 13. That was 13 years ago.
13, yes,
right?
That's a long time.
Which is a long time, but it's gone, right? Yeah. And here we are today in 2021, June 16th. What's that? 16th? Yeah. And in 13 years, by just going absolutely crazy with the content generation and the Facebook posts and the Twitter posts, and
he's everywhere. And remember, we knew about him. Like when I was here, we knew about him because he had like the sales program for like automotive agencies. Not agencies, for the dealerships.
For dealerships, yeah. In fact, when I was in the retail car business, I worked at a Cadillac dealership in Orlando, Massey Cadillac North.
Okay,
it was a big dealership, right? Physically big, big property. and there was a whole wing that had some offices, and his offices were in that dealership.
Oh, wow.
And I used to see, like, he was, you know,
and he would come,
coming to work every day. He had his like sales training room.
Yeah.
He had his office
Wow.
there. I didn't really, I knew of him, but didn't, you know, I don't know. I was just a dumbass, I guess, at that point in time. Really didn't like really stop to say, hey man, and develop a relationship with the guy. See him coming to work every day.
Wow.
Like running a sales organization out of a dealership. And so that was 16 years ago, maybe 17 years ago, right? So again, not to say that he wasn't successful then, but 17 years ago, that guy was running his sales training business, and his office was in a car dealership, right?
Wow.
17 years later, the guy just bought a $24 million property on Golden
And doesn't
Beach.
he have like a jet?
Oh yeah, he's got the whatever the top of the line. Was it Lear? No,
G1,
yeah, he got
G4, something.
G5.
One of those Gs.
Yeah, it's a G. It's the big G.
Yeah, right.
It's not the OG. It's the fucking Mac
Oh man,
G.
he's funny. And he's like, you know, he's charismatic. He's got everything, all those tools.
Who do you when you look at, you know, influencers, motivators, people on social media that, you know, who does John Saunders look to and say, man, that's something?
So there's a guy. His name is you of course is one. You know, I got to name you. You know, you're the OG. You're the OG.
Oh boy.
And then there's a guy named Chris Doe. He has a company called The Future without an E, and he's like a designer, branding guy, but he does a lot of education and transparency. And man, he has his agency that's like a creative agency that's like high level, and then he also does like mentorships. He has an insane YouTube channel. It's got like millions of subscribers. He has like online courses, and he's like real deal. He's not one of these guys that just created a course because he learned one thing. He had like a successful agency that's still running today, and then he uses the skills that he's acquired and has these things. So Chris Doe is probably my number one guy when it comes to like entrepreneurship and learning. I mean, Jeff Bezos is one, but I don't, you know, the guy's insanely rich. He's about to go to another planet.
Okay,
you know?
So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
You think that's a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it's a bad idea. I mean, can you imagine his insurance underwriters are probably like, what are you doing? Like,
it's the second I heard that, I was like,
my wife, she was like, why is he doing this? If he goes, that's his mind, I don't know why he's doing that. I don't know.
I remember years ago, I had already gone skydiving once.
Yeah.
And this was when I had like maybe 5-6 years into the agency, and I was thinking about doing it again. And I was talking with my dad, and I was like, yeah, we're going to go skydiving. And he didn't say anything. And then I think like he called me back or something like that. And he was like, you know, or he pulled me aside, and he was like, Chris, you know, A, you've already done it once. Okay. And B, you know, you got a business now, you know, you've got these things that are your responsibilities now. There comes a time in life when you start eliminating what you would consider unnecessary risks, right? And that stuck with me. And I don't live a life, you know, in a bubble.
Of course.
You know, I'm out there, you know, doing stuff and, you know, riding my bike, and, you know, there's plenty of ways that something could happen.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But
jumping out of a plane is kind of like
not doing that again.
Yeah.
You know, that don't need, you know, bungee jumping, plane jumping, not going to happen anymore. But when I saw the news, and it's Bezos and his brother are going to be on the maiden voyage of his space company, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't seen them launch shit. Have you?
No.
I mean, I see Elon's, you know, I see SpaceX up and down.
Oh,
and up and down.
absolutely.
I mean, those rockets go up and they come down and they land perfect on a fucking raft. You know, he's got that shit nailed. And when they blow it up, he's like, no, oh shit, we just blew up one.
Right.
Okay, fuck it, let's go get another one, right?
Exactly. I don't know what he's thinking. And then another guy paid like 20-something million, some random person, to be the next voice. I don't know.
And they're going to go on the maiden voyage? No
way.
No.
This guy, you know, he left Amazon. Now he's kind of just, I don't know. He's on like a rampage or something. He's going through like a midlife crisis.
Well, I mean, okay, so think about it. You can only imagine what it's like, right? Like, nothing is out of the question.
Exactly.
For you, right? When you have that much wealth, you really, okay, you got all the houses, you got all the cars, you got all the boats, you got all the planes. Like, you've been to everywhere. That's a good point.
He needs the next.
You've been everywhere. You've done everything. You have access to almost everything except like maybe some top secret governmental shit, or, you know, if there's like some secret society that's running the world, maybe doesn't, you know.
Right.
But, you know, at the end of the day, I get it. It's like, okay, well, now what do I do, right? Well, I'm, you know, and it's like right out of the movies.
That's
right?
a good perspective. I didn't think about it like that.
But it's right out of the movies. Isn't it such a cliche?
He's like Lex Luthor, you know, Superman. He looks like him now. You know, he's like buff and like bald headed. Like, He's like he's turning into a supervillain right now.
Right. What was the movie? There was a movie, and Tommy Lee Jones played this character that nobody realized he was up in space the whole time.
Oh, man. Was it Men in Black? No.
No. I don't remember. But the point is, it's like there's always like the super wealthy billionaire tycoon, and that's the person always like zooming off. Like even Elon Musk. Like, we're going to Mars.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that guy's gonna get us to Mars, right?
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna happen. I mean, I might see it in like the next 10 years, definitely.
It's
crazy.
Do you ever wonder sometimes? It's like, okay, they're taking this seriously, right? Like, and Elon Musk, like, I believe he's of the mindset of like, this is possibly the perpetuation of the human species, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's investing all this time, money, and energy right into this process. Okay, all right. So, guys, as smart as they come, are we that fucked?
I know.
Is the environment that bad?
That's
the
what I'm thinking.
wealthiest set are going, all right, we need to plan to get out of here.
I'm so glad you said that, because I feel like, why don't they invest that money here where we can maybe reverse some of these? But they've probably seen things that we don't know about, and they're like, listen, we need to get off this rock like ASAP. Like, if the billionaires are adamant about leaving, what are we supposed to do?
And it's such a shame, because we've talked about this on other episodes.
Yeah.
And to me, the environment thing it's so crucial. I hate that it's become like a politicized left-right thing. It's the fucking earth. It's beautiful. Like,
yeah,
life on earth and this experience that we have to be here is amazing. It's amazing. And I keep asking the question, and I asked Greg this, on our podcast.
Yeah.
I said, God, there's got to be somebody that sees a solid business strategy, a profitable business strategy to clean up this fucking mess that we've created for ourselves.
There has to be somebody that can.
Not Elon and Bezos, though. The guys with some of the most.
Those guys are out of here.
They're like, yeah, we're leaving.
I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
Maybe
there's something we don't know. That's what I'm guessing.
Well, the other funny, it's not funny at all, right? It is not funny.
I mean, everything is, it's.
We were talking about Miami being this like big, the next like tech.
Yeah.
And it's happening.
Absolutely.
Like South Florida Business Journal this week, the whole issue is about all the companies moving here, and
oh wow, I got picked up with that.
Yeah, how it's how Miami is blowing up. I mean, it is. If you look at the construction in Miami, still going crazy. Now you got all these business, real estate, it's going crazy, right? Yet we're sitting on porous limestone, right? We're sitting on basically a gigantic firm sponge.
Yep.
And as the ocean levels rise, nobody has a damn plan on what to do.
It's so funny you say that, because yesterday, it's my wife and I, our anniversary yesterday, so we're at dinner in South Beach. Thank you. This place called Stubborn Seed. It's like by this like chef that she really likes. So we sit down and we're at the restaurant, and it starts raining outside, and it's like this, right? And then it rains for probably 7 minutes, and the water's like this.
Yeah. Oh, literally. Miami Beach is and
then they open the front door, the water's coming in. This is 7 minutes of water. It's insane. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is like 7 minutes. And then after about 30 minutes, it kind of sat there, and then it went back down. But it was just like, what if it would have rained for like 2 hours? This place would have been flooded.
South Beach is, when it rains, I mean, it's flooded everywhere. And it's always that way. I mean, we're sitting on all this water. We're sitting on porous limestone.
It's crazy.
Everybody's building like crazy. Everything is still ground level, right?
Yeah.
All these people are coming here, moving, okay. And 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was reading articles that talked about by 2030.
Wow.
You got problems in Miami?
Jeez.
Big problems, right?
That's crazy.
And so you think of all these billions, if not trillions now, of dollars being invested in this area. And I love it here, and I love that it's like booming. There's other times I'm like,
what are we gonna do?
Man, you got to get a freaking spread up in South Dakota and start the next place up there.
Right. I thought about like getting like some land somewhere, having like my setup, and then when things, hey, things are getting a little rough, we're out of here. Exactly.
Because what's gonna happen if?
I know
this is all kind of gloom and doom and end of the world shit, but the scary thing is we're living in a time when end of the world shit. Is it 50 years? Is it 40 years? I mean, I don't know, right?
No.
These conversations, this all fleshes all this crazy stuff out, and I keep saying I don't know the answers, but
we don't know. You know, we don't know.
I hope somebody on the show is like, hey, well, here's more information, right?
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Someone give us like something. And I'm glad you brought up that business idea, because there's so many startups out there. What about a startup that's working on like, I don't know.
Yeah, Earth Janitor.
Earth Janitor. There you go.
Right, Earth Janitor. Where is that business being created?
It's crazy.
I don't know. It gets me around. Okay, let's take on one more. Let's take on one more.
I'm having fun. This is a good vibe.
This is what we do.
Yeah,
this is what it's all about. You never know where we're going to start. We don't know where we're going to end. We're going to veer all over. Every now and then, something's going to go on outside. Like I can see now, Donna's on the machine over there. Now she's monitoring what's going on. She got the headphones on. Greg's jacking around with something because Donna's like, "Hey, wait a second. Did you see this?" And this is the way Donna says it. She goes, I feel like there's something there. Right now I'm making her laugh right now, right? Okay.
That's great.
So, young, successful African-American business entrepreneur, right?
Oh, I like the sound of that.
What does this, does your path, does your business, or what you're doing, this is a dumb question. Does it mean something different to you as an African American in this country to be accomplishing what you're doing? What is it? What is that?
Absolutely, because I think a lot of change just it's going to stem from money, right? I mean, we have to just be transparent with it. If you want to make change, you have to have money. Look at Elon. Look at Jeff. Right? They're going to space. Mm-hmm. They're able to do that because they're able to leverage the money that they have. And so I believe, especially in the Black community, that it's going to start with being able to have a pipeline to funds, money, monetary gain, entrepreneurship, being able to employ others. Those are all assets that are going to help excel. So for me, it's really about creating a business that empowers people, that gives people an opportunity, and then people being able to see me do that and either collaborate, work with us, or start their own business that does their own thing, because entrepreneurship is huge. And my thing is, not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur, but everyone can have entrepreneurial ways. For example, I know plenty of folks that work in jobs, that work in careers. They do really well for themselves. They take some of that money, they might invest in real estate, or they might buy a property and turn it into an Airbnb. So they're able to leverage their job, learn, create skills, have health insurance, have all the things that they need, and they're able to take those skills and turn those into financial literacy. Generational wealth. So for me, as just being a Black man, especially being an entrepreneur, it's really about just creating opportunity for others and having people see that and wanting to emulate that also.
So I have two questions, and I'm going to hold the historical one for a second. But okay, so you work with and collaborate with people of all races, colors, creeds, right? I mean,
absolutely.
This is not 100% Black business. You work with who you work with, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Right. At the end of the day, does the race thing even come into it when you're dealing with other people who are passionate about what you do?
No, it does sometimes, but some people, like you, for example, I mean, you're accepting of everybody. You're just, you're down. Period. So it really depends on the person, but in most cases, I don't see it. One thing that I did see though is after everything that happened last year, of course, with George Floyd, I think there was a huge kind of shift in the way folks saw business owners, especially business owners of color, where I think that they saw that they maybe weren't getting the opportunities that other agencies or other folks were getting. And so it did open up essentially the floodgates. We've had our best year since about last January to now. That's not consistent with what happened then, but ultimately for me, I feel as though now a lot more companies are open to collaborating with a whole bunch of diverse founders and diverse business owners. And honestly, we work with all types of clients, and that never became an issue at the agency because one, our work speaks for itself. So clients, at the end of the day, they want to see, is your work dope? Is your work great? Hey, I don't care what you look like. You know what I mean? As long as the work gets done and we have a good working relationship. So that's kind of like my spiel about it. I know it's a little all over the place, but
that's the world we need to be in. That's the world we need to live in, right?
I agree.
It's everybody has opportunity. Not everybody has the same opportunity, but everybody has opportunity. Everybody can improve their situation, regardless. And I don't. To me, it's not about race. It's not about religion. There's good and bad people in every bucket you can put people into,
True.
right? There's good people, bad people. And a lot of times the bad people, why are they bad people? Because they got so much pain and so much hurt and so much just shit that came down on them that they just can't handle it, right? And and that comes out in a negative way, but it's a mindset. And what I hope to continue to accomplish with these conversations, some of the more stuff that we're doing here, is to continually create an environment where people of every aspect of life, as long as you're positive, as long as you're bringing something positive to the equation, where we share all this information and we're able to help learn from each other, help grow from each other, whether that's spiritually, educationally, health and fitness, business, whatever that is, that's what I hope to continue to be able to do with what these conversations start.
Love it.
And it's so important that we all understand that starts in the brain, right? Like that's not the brain, the brain is not a color. The brain is not a race. The soul is not a color. The soul is not a race. It just is. It is just something that we all share. And so I think it's so important, and I think it's so great to see businesses such as your own. Everybody needs to support each other in success and growth, right?
Yeah, I agree.
That's where we need to be.
100%.
And that leads me to, I guess, my other question, which is, if I remember correctly, John David Saunders, you didn't grow up in an ideal situation, right? From the perspective of, your family wasn't wealthy. You guys struggled growing up. If I remember correctly, your parents split, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, broken home, starting off with meager financial resources. Yeah, here you are, right? Because of you, for whatever reason, following your passion, following your dream, and just making good decisions to move in that direction. What makes you different than anybody else?
Man,
that's a tough question. I know, but I'm curious.
I think that I think a lot of this stemmed from we started in Brooklyn. That's where we kind of grew up. Not really grew up because we left when I was 6, so I was pretty much a kid. But I think my mom specifically really tried to create an environment that was conducive to growth. You know what I mean? She was a teacher, so she always had books and labs and projects that we could work on. She always told me to do school programs and things like that. So I was in a Boys and Girls Club, you know what I mean? She really kept me active in regards to keeping me away from things that, in my normal environment would have gotten, me in trouble. And, it also helped that I was kind of shy, introverted. So I kind of kept to myself really. And I think that particularly had to do with it. But I think that keeping busy while I was a kid was really instrumental in helping me kind of get to that point where I felt comfortable, starting my own thing, doing my own thing. And ultimately, I just wanted to, make my parents proud and just be a good person. I know it sounds corny, but, for me, it's really about working hard and taking that hard work and making sure that you're doing something to both influence and help others. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm thinking there.
It's the role that parents play, particularly moms, because moms tend to be more hands-on with the kids at a younger age. Not saying that that's their responsibility or what, but just historically it's been that way. But that influence is so important. That home influence is so important. And my mom did the same thing. My parents split up when I was 7 or 8, probably 8. And I remember my mom was like, "No, I kept you kids active. I wanted to make sure you guys were involved, that you didn't have too much time to sit around and think about this, that, or the other thing." And I'm so thankful for that. And I was and still am introverted as well too, despite doing all this stuff. I mean, I'm still perfectly happy, 100% by myself, just doing my thing quietly, just working on my stuff. I mean, that gives me a lot of solace and comfort. And so it does take, sometimes you got to push yourself out there a little bit more, especially when you're a business owner, right? So it's it's one of those things you got to do, But you did it. You did it, man. And I got to, to say, "Oh, I'm proud of you," I don't feel like that's the right thing to say. I mean, it is, because I am, but I'm more happy for you and I'm more admiring of you.
Oh, thanks.
I admire what you've done. What you've done is really special, and what you've accomplished for yourself is special. What you're accomplishing for yourself and the people that work with and for you is special.
Thank you.
And what you're bringing to the world is really special, and I have a great deal of respect and admiration for you. So I'm gonna
thank you. Likewise. I mean, hey, you're the catalyst. You helped me get to this point as well. You know, you're part of the story. So for me, it's, you know, being able to work here was a huge opportunity. You know, I got to learn so much and develop my skills. I came in here as like just doing kind of social media and writing some HTML on the websites, and then boom, I'm, you know, digital marketing director. So, you know, I got to thank you for believing in me and giving me the opportunity as well.
Ah, man, you're welcome. You earned it. Thanks. John D. Saunders. John, why don't you take a minute and just let people know where they can find you, how they can be in touch with you, how they can learn more about you and your business, because there's a lot of good stuff out there that I think people would appreciate.
Yeah. You guys can find me on Instagram, John D. Saunders. I post daily content on there just on tips and tricks. And then you can check out my personal website, johndsaunders.co, if you want to learn a little bit more. That's it. That's all I got.
All right. John David Saunders. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. Great to have you on the show. And we'll go have some food and hang out and enjoy the afternoon. But I appreciate it. Thank you. Great job, man.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right. You got it.
Awesome.
Peace.
Peace.